No one wants to wake up to a millipede crawling around in their bed, but what if these gigantic human-sized millipedes were what we had instead? Maybe it's best to become thankful for our much smaller, unwelcome guests. From giant dragonflies to huge sea worms with trapping tentacles, the world used to be full of dangerous insects that are luckily long gone. Some of these flying bugs could have wingspans of over 30 inches or 70 centimeters. Some could even take out animals larger than a human. Here are 10 of the most dangerous insects to have ever existed, and why their predatory ways weren't enough to keep them from going extinct. 300 million years ago, the largest insect to have ever existed roamed planet Earth. While the bug looks like a much larger version of today's dragonflies, it's actually more closely related to today's griffin flies. Its scientific name is Meganeuropsis, and this huge beast stalked the skies during its heyday. A griffin fly, or even a dragonfly, doesn't sound that scary, right? But this prehistoric insect had a body roughly 47 centimeters or 18.5 inches long, with a 75 centimeter or 29.5 inch wingspan. That meant that the bug was larger than the average toddler. I don't think you want to let your kid play in the park if a dragonfly might carry them off. The Meganeuropsis was a fierce predator. It had a huge pair of powerful mandibles for tackling large, struggling prey. The beast was also an incredibly skilled flyer and could chase down prey in a pinch. Thankfully, griffin flies can grow nowhere near this size today since there's less oxygen in our atmosphere. Insects absorb oxygen through spiracles on their body, which send the oxygen right to the tissues that allow them to grow their massive sizes, if there's enough of it to spare. The only thing worse than a giant flying insect is probably a giant spider. This Mongoloarachne is luckily long gone, but we're still finding fossils of bigger and bigger specimens. Like most spiders, the female was bigger than the male. The largest Mongoloarachne found had a body length of 24.6 millimeters or 2.5 centimeters, but was about 56.5 millimeters or 5.6 centimeters long if you include its enormous legs. Sure, there are bigger spiders alive today, but this extinct species was one of the strangest that scientists are still trying to understand. Scientists think that this spider wouldn't just wait for prey to become tangled in its sticky web. Instead, it decided to be a bit more proactive. It would spin a net-like web and throw it over its prey as they passed by. Once the prey was caught in the net, the webbing would shrink, trapping the prey tightly inside. It's similar to how some weaving spiders hunt today, but this Jurassic specimen would have been able to get even larger prey. So let's be thankful they didn't stick around to grow even bigger. Everyone already hates being stung by a bee or a wasp, so what if the average wasp grew to almost 10 centimeters long? Well, 10 centimeter long wasps might have been the norm in prehistoric times. British Columbian researchers have found the fossil of a giant horntail wood wasp. The specimen is about 53 million years old and 7 centimeters or 2.75 inches in length. This ancient wasp was only slightly larger than some of the modern relatives, but scientists believe that bigger specimens are still out there. So other than a massive stinger, what's so dangerous about these wasps anyway? Well, they actually killed trees, would not be very welcome in one of today's protected forests. Horntail wood wasps bore tunnels through wood in order to grow a fungus that they would eat. But the fungus is poisonous, and the wasps weaken the tree's immune system, causing it to eventually die. So let's be happy that today's wasps can't do that to humans. If you can believe it, this giant squid-shrimp hybrid is not even the weirdest looking creature on our list, but it's definitely one of the most dangerous. This bizarre arthropod is called Anomalocaris. It lived about 500 million years ago and was one of the top predators of its time. Up to a meter, 39.37 inches long, this sea creature would chase down its prey with those large flaps on its side and its fan-shaped tail. Once captured, it would grab them with its large spiky arms. Then its huge toothy mouth would do the rest of the work. Scientists contribute its insane hunting skills to its large eyes. Its eyesight was better than most modern insects. Evidence of its hunting abilities have been found in trilobite fossils. These hard-shelled creatures sometimes had bites taken out of them that would match what this shrimp-like predator would have been able to do. But its fearsome hunting skills couldn't keep it from going extinct when 90% of all life on Earth was wiped out. So at least this sea monster won't be joining us for a swim. The only thing worse than a land scorpion is, well, a sea scorpion, especially if it's over 8 feet or 2.5 meters long. This monstrous scorpion could have easily taken on a human. It might have even been able to take on a horse. Its claw alone is 46 centimeters or 18 inches long, and it would crush unsuspecting prey. This 400 million year old beast would lie in wait in lakes and rivers and lurch forward at any unlucky creatures that happen to wander by. Scientists think it would tear its food to shreds and then scavenge for any remaining pieces. Talk about a messy eater. Unlike most insects who were huge because of increased oxygen, the sea scorpion was actually found long before the oxygen boost. So it's likely the scorpion got so big because it had to find its way to eat well-protected creatures like armored fish. But when larger vertebrates started arriving, the sea scorpion was officially outmatched and is thankfully long gone. Would you still get in the water if this scorpion might be waiting for you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. 97 million years ago, one of the world's most hated creatures prowled through the forests at night. It was a cockroach. Except, it was much more dangerous and cunning than its modern disliked relatives. At around 1 centimeter in length, this predatory cockroach made up for its not-so-impressive size with elongated legs and a strong mouth that would crush nocturnal arthropods. It would grasp onto prey with these long front legs that were covered in strong spines. This insect's scientific name is Manipulator modificaputis, and it wouldn't have been happy scavenging for crumbs like today's cockroaches. Its extremely long legs were made for hunting, and its large eyes gave it excellent eyesight so that it could spot prey and predators from far away. And its freely movable head and long neck suggest that these cockroaches were actually pursuit predators. That's right, no lying in wait for these guys, they would chase their prey down. Other prehistoric cockroaches that have been discovered are a lot bigger than this fierce hunter at up to 3.5 inches or 8.9 centimeters long, but the Manipulator proves that size doesn't always matter.
My favorite thing about roaches is that they are unique and special.
I could do without them, but she really likes them.
The length of today's average millipede is between 2 to 280 millimeters, or 0.08 to 11 inches, but 300 million years ago, massive millipedes roamed North America, and the largest was Arthroplura. This leggy creature was 1.5 feet or 0.46 meters wide and could grow up to 7 feet or 2.13 meters long. That's longer than most professional basketball players. In addition to being an incredible size, it had a strong but thin body armor that leads scientists to believe that it had no known predators. It's likely that Arthroplura dined on organic materials that it collected on wet forest floors, but it's thought that it also enjoyed a carnivorous meal every now and then. Scientists chalk up the millipede's diet to plants, insects, and even smaller vertebrates that were brave enough to go near the massive slinking beast. Like the giant dragonfly, the millipede was able to grow so large because of increased oxygen and moist conditions. When the earth grew drier and less oxygenated, the millipede would eventually go extinct, leaving room for its much, much smaller multi-legged cousins. Any creature with the word assassin in its name probably shouldn't be messed with, and just because this assassin happens to be a fly doesn't mean that it was any less dangerous. The assassin fly is a species of Diptera, which is in the same family as mosquitoes, but assassin flies don't just suck blood. A new specimen of a now extinct 100 million year old assassin fly was found preserved in amber in Burma. While the extinct assassin flies are only between 6.5 and 8 millimeters in length, and ambitious feeding allows them to consume insects much larger than themselves. Assassin flies were brave enough to eat stinging bees and wasps. They have protective bristles on their face and a body that could shield them from particularly strong prey. Assassin flies chase and attack prey in flight by grabbing the insects with their back legs and then biting them to inject their venomous saliva. The venom wouldn't immediately take us out like it did for small insects, but it's still reassuring to know that this venomous fly isn't swarming around our backyards. About 50 million years ago, there were ants the size of hummingbirds in North America. At about 2 inches or 5 centimeters long, these trap-draw-like ants are called titans. Their full name is Titanomirma, and they have stingers as well as large mandibles that make them capable of opening their mouth 180 degrees. Trap ants that exist today can also do this, but they're not quite so large. The titans' jaws were snapped shut on their prey, essentially crushing them and making them perfect for an afternoon snack. And since ants were very coordinated and worked together, they could take out a large number of insects in a short period of time. The titan lived during a particularly warm period on Earth, which explains why they weren't able to survive as the Earth's temperature began to change. Most ants today are omnivores, and the titan might have been too, but when salt is scarce, even the nicest ants will turn to a carnivorous diet. It seems like the titan was particularly carnivorous. This is not the kind of ant that you want to find at your picnic. We've saved the weirdest looking prehistoric insect for last, folks. About 505 million years old, this giant worm roamed Earth's waters. The scientifically named Hallucinogenia sparsa had legs, spikes, a head, and tail. So what exactly makes it a worm? Well, the odd-looking creature is most closely related to the velvet worm. It's so weird-looking that scientists thought the fossils were upside down. The spines on the worm's back were thought to be legs, and its legs were thought to be tentacles. Talk about a confusing discovery. The worm had 7 or 8 pairs of legs and standing in claws and rows of rigid spines along its back. They were between 0.2 and 1.4 inches or 5 and 35 millimeters. They also lived on ocean floors. Not a lot is understood about the worm, like what it liked to eat and how exactly it went extinct. Its discovery made scientists rethink the entire tree of life as they had tried to figure out what this creature could have evolved into. But I'm sure we're happy to stick with our modern worms and leave this spiky guy in the prehistoric oceans where he belongs. So which insect on our list do you find the most terrifying? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more. Thanks for watching The Richest, and we'll see you next time.